comes down to basketball, when it comes down to actual talent and not taking dirty jabs, not punching someone in the throat, not kneeing someone in the groin, not flagrant fouling someone from behind while their back is turned to you, right? Not taunting somebody for a long time with your finger, right? Not walking into Indiana saying, walk in your trap, take over your trap, right? Not all these things, not trying to fight Caitlyn on the court. Those won't win basketball games. You know what will win basketball games? What this woman right here, Elizabeth Clark, does on a nightly basis. The face oh my, the face of Marina Mabrey right here on your screen. Let this be a microcosm for the next 10 years against every opponent who tried to hard foul and do see.
Man, watch this. Marina always trying to score something with somebody, bro. This is crazy. Look, and it's Kelsey Mitchell. Come on. And look, Marina knows she was wrong. Cause you know Mabrey was wrong because we've never seen Kelsey Mitchell do it.
Forget the woman selling out arenas, smashing ratings records, and dragging this entire league into a level of relevance it has never experienced before in its history. Forget the sold-out arenas from coast to coast, the record-breaking jersey sales, the private planes charter just to move fans and media crews from city to city on a random Tuesday night. Apparently, according to one single moment caught on camera, there is a much better representation of what this league is supposed to look like moving forward. That is the picture everyone has been passing around since last night. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Marina Mabrey standing off to the side near the tunnel watching Caitlyn Clark sign autographs for a wall of fans who stuck around long after the final buzzer. And the look on her face is not subtle in the slightest. It is not a neutral glance. It is not someone simply minding their own business while walking past. It is a full, unmistakable side eye. The exact kind of look you give someone when you genuinely cannot stand the fact that they are.
This is real. Why? Because this is some Canadian singer. I don't know. This is her, what I think was her partner. This is a woman who was about who in heels about 6'5". Why do I know that? Because I was sitting here. I was right here. This is the Canadian singer. I don't know who it is. She was on Celebrity Cam. This is said Canadian singer and a partner. This is my footage. This is my footage. So, Marina is clearly trying to talk to Caitlyn after the game.
Are receiving attention you feel like you deserve instead. And the internet being the internet caught it within seconds and has not let it go since. I can guarantee you some part of this is real. Why? Because this is some Canadian singer. I don't know. Here's the honest question nobody wants to actually sit with for a second. Who is lining up for a Marina Mabrey signature? Nobody is skipping dinner, sitting in traffic for an extra hour, or waiting 90 extra minutes after a game just to get a scribble from Marina Mabrey on a ticket stub or a jersey. That is not meant as an insult toward her as a basketball player. That is simply the reality of where these two players currently sit in terms of cultural pull.
Threes, please. Threes, please. Okay, MHA, what you gonna do with it? You know you don't want to give it back. Oh, look at that.
Pull, ticket sales, and pure star power. One of them moves markets every single time she steps onto a court. One of them does not and has not for a very long time. And it seems like that widening gap, the one that has only grown larger as the season has gone on, finally caught up with her in a way she genuinely could not hide from the cameras this time. This was not just any random regular season night on the schedule. This was Mabrey's own team on her own home floor in front of her own fans who paid to watch her play. And the Indiana Fever walked directly into that building and took the win. Anyway, Caitlyn Clark and her teammates did not just show up and compete. They left with the result in the exact building where Mabrey is supposed to be the one setting the tone and controlling the atmosphere. That is not a small thing to swallow as a competitor. Losing at home is always rough on a roster, no matter who you are or how long you have been in the league. But losing at home while the opposing team's biggest star spends the entire post-game period signing autographs for a line of fans who specifically traveled to see her play. That is
from CC is freaking ridiculous. She is hooping on another planet right now. Oh my God. Last night, she put the work. She put belt to ass on my Toronto team, on the Toronto Tempo. It was also Caitlyn Clark's Canadian debut, her first game in the city of Toronto. And she did not disappoint. She left the entire country of Canada excited. 24 points, 4 3-pointers, and 7 assists. And just, honestly, just cooking. Like, some of the buckets I've seen, ridiculous.
The kind of night that sits with a competitive person long after the box score has already been filed away and forgotten by everyone else. So when people online say she was salty, this is exactly what they mean by it was not just one stray look caught at a bad angle. It was the compounded frustration of watching her own home crowd in her own building treat the visiting team's point guard like she was the actual main event of the entire evening. That kind of moment sticks with people whether they admit it publicly or not. Nobody enjoys watching a rival get more attention in your own house than you get on your best night, but most seasoned professionals keep that frustration off their
things. Like, and it's like shameful. It's like, really, Marina, like that was ridiculous. So like, for example, the Caitlyn thing, like when the play was over and everyone was like, that was obvious that my emotions of us losing and losing and losing, and then she's like low-key punking her team on top of it. Like, that was too far. Like, that was too much. But then when you go to like Unrivaled this season, and like the little scuffle between me and Suge, like that was perfect. Because it was just enough that it like fueled me and the team. But then on the flip side, like when we were in Indiana and it was, everyone's booing us, like it feels like shit. We end up losing by like 25. And it's like, Marina, that's your fault, buddy. Like,
face. Mabrey did not manage that this time. And that was not even the only flash point from that particular night, which makes the whole situation feel even more telling because before the post-game tension even started, there was a moment on the court itself where Mabrey got right up in Kelsey Mitchell's face, jawing at her non-stop, gesturing wildly like Mitchell had somehow committed some unforgivable basketball crime out there. Mitchell was not taunting her. She was not doing anything remotely outside the normal flow of a competitive basketball game. But Mabrey was locked in on her for that entire exchange. Practically nose to nose asking her what exactly, and both of them point.
I don't think I've ever seen Kelsey Mitchell get this mad. Get so mad to get up in somebody's face. What happened? What did Marina Mabrey do to evoke this out of Kelsey Mitchell? Also, you guys, look at Marina Mabrey's reaction. She doesn't even do anything. Kelsey gets in her face, she's yelling at her, and Marina Mabrey just looks at her and walks away. Like, this is even crazy for Marina. She has crowned herself the crash out queen. She didn't even say anything. She wanted no smoke. I need to know what happened though. Like, was anybody at this game? Was anybody sitting courtside? Does anybody have a different angle of what went down? Like, what caused this? I have so many questions. You have like one of the calmest players in the league going off on one of the biggest crash outs in the league, and the crash out does nothing.
In the same direction. The heated confrontation with Mitchell during live game action, and then the very visible side eye directed toward Clark once the final buzzer sounded. That is not some random coincidence you can explain away. That is a player who was rattled from the opening tip all the way through the final horn. And instead of channeling that frustration into her own performance on the floor, she spent the entire night pointed outward at everybody standing around her.
For anyone out there who thinks this incident is coming completely out of nowhere, it genuinely is not. And the history backs that up. This is the same Marina Mabrey who was caught shoving Caitlin Clark earlier in her career. A moment that received plenty of attention at the time because of how unnecessary.
Do that, if you do that in the NBA, you're gone, bro. Like, what are we talking about? This is common sense. This is the most bottom of the barrel of a professional league I've watched, bro. Like, what is this? And she's sitting there laughing like it, bro. Oh my God, man. WNBA, y'all never fail to outdo yourselves. You guys never fail to outdo yourselves. It's crazy.
It's a scrape across the face. That's what Clark didn't like.
Boom. Look, she could have got whiplash. She could have got whiplash.
And unprovoked it looked once people slowed the replay down. Clark was not doing anything remotely provocative in that earlier clip either. That earlier moment has aged into something of a recurring pattern once you start lining it up chronologically against everything that has happened since between these two. There has been a low steady hum of tension between them for a while now. And if you actually study it closely, it has never really been about basketball fundamentals or defensive schemes at all. It has consistently been about attention, about who the cameras find first walking off the court, about who the fans actually line up for after the final buzzer sounds and the arena starts clearing out. So, watching Mabrey's frustration boil over in real time this season, watching her own team continue to struggle while Clark's team keeps climbing steadily up the standings, watching her get visibly outmatched on her own home floor in front of her own fans. There is a certain undeniable poetry to how this has all played out. Not because anyone genuinely wants to see a fellow professional fail or struggle in their career, but because there is something almost karmic about watching someone who once spent real energy trying to get under a rising star's skin now visibly struggling in front of everyone to even process that same star's continued rise to the top of this sport. Here is what is genuinely strange about all of this. If you actually step back far enough to look at the bigger picture objectively, player after player around this entire league keeps reacting negatively to Caitlin.
D word if I do, D word if I don't. While on Instagram Live. Need to stay off them Instagram Lives. Then she goes on to say, I don't care honestly, I really don't. Obviously, I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm not trying to go after a certain player for certain. Yeah, okay. You not trying to go after a certain player, and you not trying to hurt nobody, but you bulldoze somebody that was blindsided.
Clark, instead of simply appreciating what she is doing for the sport as a whole. Every single night she plays, ticket prices spike noticeably. Every city she visits on a road trip, hotels fill up faster, local restaurants report bigger revenue nights, and television ratings jump in ways this league has genuinely never experienced before in its entire history. She is by a very wide margin the single biggest driver of attention that women's basketball has ever had at any point. Yes, there's been plenty of other legends before her, but they never ever had the impact like she has had. And instead of some of these established veterans recognizing that rising tide as something that lifts every single roster, and every
championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like, just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too.
Single paycheck in this league. Too many of them treat her like some kind of threat to be managed instead of a genuine gift to be capitalized on. It is jealousy, plain and simple, when you strip away all the excuses. Not necessarily envy of her raw talent on the floor, because plenty of players in this league can match her shot for shot on any given hours after final buzzers just for a shot at her signature, or a quick photo with her. That kind of genuine connection with a mainstream audience is not something you can simply coach into existence through a marketing plan. It either happens organically over time, or it simply does not happen at all. No matter how hard a league office pushes for it. And it happened for Clark in a way that has not.
You cannot sit here and look me straight in the eye and tell me that this girl, Caitlin Clark, who put your sport on the map, who pays your bills, who is your meal ticket, is the 11th best guard in the WNBA. You can't sit here and look at me in the eyes with a straight face and say she's the 11th best guard. This doesn't have anything to do with skill. This doesn't have anything to do with how she plays on the court. This has to do with they can't stand how much of an impact she has had on the WNBA. They can't stand that she has put their sport on the map and that she made
happened for almost anyone else in this sport's entire history, college or professional. And I think that's a really cool thing. And so I'm just super excited that I look at any arena she plays in this season, and you will see the evidence before the game has even officially started. Lines wrapping around entire city blocks hours before the doors even open to the public. Parents holding up handmade signs their kids made at home the night before out of poster board and glitter. Grown adults who have genuinely never watched a single WNBA game in their life suddenly showing up because their daughter specifically wanted to see this one player in person. That is not manufactured hype cooked up by a marketing department somewhere. That is an organic cultural phenomenon that the league could not have.
Like, I don't know if I would ever do that, but I really appreciate their support. Like, that's a really cool thing. And it just shows how much this one opportunity means to people to be able to see a player that they probably watched on TV a lot and experience a moment that they've, felt through the TV screen or,
Engineered on purpose, even if they had tried for an entire decade straight. Now, to be completely fair here, Marina Mabrey's expression in that viral photo is going to get interpreted 100 different ways depending entirely on who happens to be doing the interpreting. Her supporters will inevitably say it is being blown wildly out of proportion, that it is just one single frame pulled from a much longer video, one expression caught at exactly the wrong second, and that nobody watching from home can actually know for certain what she was thinking internally in that exact moment. That is a fair point to raise on the surface. Admittedly, faces get frozen in
not trolling, but signing her jersey in Toronto in Marina Mabrey's building. Marina Mabrey choked the game, which is why I call her Marina Maybe. Maybe she'll play, maybe she won't. Maybe she'll play well, maybe she won't. I did not know this was this many. It was this many Caitlin Clark fans in Toronto. Some was traveling, of course, but guys, look at all the 22 jerseys out there. Like, what? This is majority, like, this is not I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit that again. This is not just majority, like, this is not just the Indiana Fever line. This is not just the Fever entrance. This is the whole entrance right here, which what it looks like at least, right? But just look around. All you see is Caitlin Clark jersey. You can barely even see a Tempo jersey, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like, you got a Kawhi Leonard jersey right here. But God, this is crazy, man. The Caitlin
flattering positions constantly. And social media absolutely loves nothing more than turning one split second into an entire sweeping narrative about someone's character. But let us be completely honest about what that image actually represents to a very large chunk of fans watching this entire situation unfold. Whether or not it is technically fair to Mare, as an individual person, it represents the uncomfortable tension that follows Caitlin Clark absolutely everywhere she goes simply because of who she is and what she has managed to build in such a short amount of time. She commands a level of mainstream attention that most players in this league, past or present, can only ever.
This woman with the glasses, you can see her in my video as well. But as someone who sat right here as this is going on, yeah, they are the exact people. Except from a few meters away, it looked like maybe
dream about experiencing for themselves during their entire careers. And when someone reaches that level of visibility this quickly, this consistently, night after night, it puts a mirror up directly in front of every other player in the sport, whether they actually want to look into that mirror or not. You can see this dynamic play out in interviews constantly if you pay close attention. Reporters ask veteran players directly about Clark's impact on the league. And you can watch some of them visibly choose their words like they are carefully walking through a minefield in real time. Some of them handle it gracefully, giving credit where credit is clearly due, while still finding a way to promote their own game and their own brand. Others clearly bristle at the question, giving clipped one-word answers, quickly changing the subject entirely, or offering that classic backhand.
Bullies, they're jealous, they're envious. I believe there's some underlying racial energy there as well. You have veteran players who have been in the WNBA for years and they feel like they didn't get their recognition, they didn't get their marketing. But Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA a phenom. This has been her whole entire life. She's been breaking records. Her resume proves it with her accomplishments. She was the Rookie of the Year for the WNBA, right? So you have players that are mad at her status, but she earned it. She earned it. She's fought for it. She's very competitive. She's an athlete, and they're trying to take
compliment about how it is good for the league, delivered in a tone that strongly suggests they do not actually believe a word of it themselves. That visible discomfort does not come from nowhere. It comes from watching someone younger, someone brand new to the professional league completely reshape the entire landscape they personally spent years building their own reputation within. Here is the part of this entire story that gets lost in all of the drama surrounding it, though, and it genuinely deserves to be said plainly and clearly. Caitlin Clark did not steal anybody's spotlight from them. She created her own spotlight entirely from scratch through logo threes that should not statistically go in as often as they do. through no-look passes that genuinely should not be physically possible at that speed and that distance. Through an entire college career that built a massive fan base long before she ever set foot on a professional court for the
here and experience their culture and be in Toronto and experience the city. So just super excited about that. Obviously, I've traveled internationally and played in a lot of different places, and I think it's really fun to just see different parts of the world. And basketball is a game that brings a lot of people together, and I think that's what's so amazing about it. And I think that's kind of what I've experienced and been able to see from afar for them through their first season. It's just the amount of people that are supporting the tempo and are excited about the tempo and excited about women's basketball in this country. And obviously their NBA team here is fantastic, so that certainly helps as well. But I think that's the biggest thing, is just the excitement. I mean, even at our hotel last night, there was a few people that came up to us and were like, we love the tempo and we're so excited for the game tomorrow. They maybe said they would be cheering for us this game, but just to see their excitement and their joy for the tempo and just basketball in general.
very arenas to add extra overflow sections to handle the sudden surge in demand for tickets. She did not personally negotiate the record-breaking jersey sales numbers, the massive endorsement deals, or the international media coverage that has followed her closely since her very first rookie season in this league. The fans did all of that entirely on their own. Millions of them spread across different countries, different age groups, and different backgrounds. All independently deciding.
Not saying this is my league. She talks about her teammates. She talks basketball. And when she's dragged into controversies that have nothing to do with basketball, most of the time, she'd rather not talk about it. And she shies away from it. The fans made this decision. The audience makes this decision. You can debate whether Caitlin Clark is the best player in the WNBA. I get that. You can debate whether she's the MVP. I get that too. I love these debates. These are basketball debates. But her impact on the popularity of this league, that's not much of a debate. And acknowledging Caitlin Clark's impact does not diminish A'ja Wilson.
On their own time, that this was a player genuinely worth tuning in for on a random Tuesday night in the middle of summer. That is simply not something that can be manufactured artificially by a league office or forced into existence through a clever marketing campaign. No matter how much money gets thrown behind it, it happens naturally because something about how she plays the game, how she carries herself off the court, and how she consistently performs under intense pressure genuinely resonates with a massive audience that had frankly been patiently waiting for legitimate reason to care this deeply about women's basketball as a whole. And that overwhelming popularity, the one single thing Clark never actually entirely. Marina Mabrey is not the first player to struggle with that reality, and she will not be the last, as this